Okay, so I'm sorry for the delay, Nick. So CJ and Jim are working out things backstage. It looks like we are ready to bring our guest up. Is that correct? So let's get him on stage here, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, happy to bring you Nick Wildstar, running for governor of California against who's that creepy guy behind you on the screen, Nick? God damn. Have we not seen enough of Gavin Newsom over the last year? You have to bring him in. I thought the recall meant we were getting rid of him. All right, Nick, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Hey, good morning, brother, man. I appreciate you for having me on, Adam. Yeah, this American Psycho right here is taking over California.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Ooh. You chose very well with that photograph. Absolutely. No, and he does. Not like I don't want to. I'll say something that you are probably not allowed to say as someone running against him trying to be political, right? But yeah, the movie American Psycho, and then you look at Gavin Newsom. It's not just the Bates like facial resemblance. It's so much deeper than that. You look at Gavin Newsom. The hair, the look, the suits, the posture, the attitude. Being what the nephew of Nancy Pelosi, yep. And you go, how many people does this guy have buried in his basement or hacked up in his fridge? Like seriously, there's something like you could have gone and been a serial killer, but instead became an evil, corrupt governor of California.
Well, I guess in that position, he's able to still play devil's advocate, and make it seem like he's a people person, or really he could give a damn about us little people. You know what I mean?
Well, so. Exactly. See, we don't even have to like. I think it's fun to make fun of Donald Trump for having painted on orange skin and natural color eyelids, and it's fun to make fun of Gavin Newsom for looking like this weird polished psychopath. But let's be real about the policies. We wouldn't be making fun of them for this, because we're not trying to make fun of people for their appearances. It's only ironic it's only funny with Trump because he's trying so hard to look good. It's only relevant with Newsom because he actually acts that way. Because if you took Bates and the American Psycho and made him governor of California.
Right.
Policies would be about the same, right? Like you said. So when we say it doesn't care about the little people, why don't you give us the background? Like what has gotten Gavin Newsom, California's favorite son, to the point of being recalled as governor?
Well, him acting as if he's better than everyone else, especially his constituency. I mean, he was caught eating indoors at a fancy restaurant called French Laundry, which is basically this 5-star restaurant where it's like $200-300 a plate for a damn.
Yeah, by the way, just about that story, that was national. I mean, there's so much more shit that Californians know about the details of his policy, but for the rest of the country, a 5-star French restaurant called French Laundry, like they might as well have called the restaurant pew pew pew. We fucking hate you. Like is that? Can they name restaurants that? I don't know. I'm trying to think of some like better French frog demeaning surrender monk cheese. The cheese eating surrender monkeys think we're better than you. Restaurant bistro.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, it's a place where you wouldn't think any person would eat just based off of the name, French Laundry. But apparently, this is a place where rich people like Gavin Newsom go, and the mayor of San Francisco, Mayor London Breed. She was caught there as well, actually the next damn day. But he was caught eating indoors in a county where there were lockdowns. So he imposed a stay-in-place order throughout the entire state. In this county in particular, they weren't able to have any other restaurants have indoor dining. But this
sorry, man. There's just so many. This is so California. I can't stop interrupting to make dumb jokes. Okay, French Laundry. It's like a reverse snobbery name, and I didn't know that this was like a thing for other politicians. But it just occurred to me This is the equivalent of naming a strip club The Office. So you can tell your wife, oh, yes, I'm at The Office.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a place for fancy folk like him. The layman, the commoner, definitely hasn't ever eaten there. I know I haven't, and most people that I've spoken to. But he was eating indoors, not socially distancing, not wearing a mask, but yet finding other restaurants and even going as far as to shut them down for doing the exact same thing. So it's just the more hypocritical do as I say, not as I do type of attitude. And he even did a press conference saying, well, I got to practice what I preach more. Well, you think?
Yeah.
So, and
practice not being governor for a while.
Yeah. So it's just that attitude. And when it comes to him, and his policies, that's where it's come to play out even more so. I mean, with the coronavirus and what its effect that it's had on people's lives with these lockdowns have devastated them. They've lost their livelihood, being able to provide for themselves since their jobs have been deemed non-essential. A lot of people have children, and because their kids aren't able to go to school, they have to scramble for, childcare so they can go out and earn a living, and provide for their families. But it's been difficult for them, and they haven't received any assistance at all. Many people didn't qualify for any emergency aid, and the EDD here has even been backed up so much to where millions of people have yet to receive actually eligible qualified claims. So, but Gavin Newsom, on the other hand, he has a winery called Punkback Winery that received millions of dollars in loans, aid that was meant to go towards helping small businesses. They're triple P loans, that were passed by the Trump administration. So Newsom accepted that money, and his own winery decided to take, I believe over $4 million of that money. So it's just awful that, again, when it comes to the policies and the attitudes of the politicians in the state of California, that they pretty much become the epitome of corruption. And he's definitely become the face of that in the state.
Now, I want to get back to the bigger policy on COVID and shutdowns and the economics of this, of course, but I have to mention the wildfires that California experienced earlier, or I guess late last year. And I mean, a lot of different challenges and conspiracy theories and how they started and what, but then we saw, Governor Newsom standing out there, in front of all the charred remains and a burnt out car, in this very state. You zoom back and you go, wait a second, he's not even where he says he is.
Right.
But with the fires, was there something around that policy that has contributed to the disdain for Newsom?
Well, yes. I mean, when it comes to land clearing in particular in our forests, the Democrats have imposed certain restrictions on businesses, especially on, federally owned land, to not allow we, the people, to go in there and actually clear those forests. I mean, you have a lot of indigenous people, and that's actually how they were able to maintain this state and for so long, is with those practices. And they would do the clean burns, go in there and cleanly burn any dead wood. And you also have loggers that would go in there and, clear the forest of any dead trees and then turn that wood into wood chips or sawdust or any other product that they can turn into a way to make money. That's what they really don't want. We, the people, to be able to make money and prosper from our own resources. And that's why once I'm elected governor, of course, I will be reinstating those type of practices and eliminating those types of policies, but also create an opportunity for the people of California to start benefiting from those resources. I mean, I did a debate last night and I was talking about how Nestle siphons off hundreds of thousands of gallons of water here in the state of California, bottles it up, and then sells it right back to us. It makes no sense at all.
All right, now the debate last night. Hold on, I want to. There are a couple of things I just kind of want to cover in sequence here for people who aren't up on California politics and why this is relevant right now. Because most states don't have as vibrant a citizen initiative process as California. It's one of the nice illusions that your corrupt superclass gives you there, that your vote matters, Right. But specifically with the recall process, this has happened once before with Governor Gray Davis.
Yes.
And that's what gave us President Schwarzenegger, or excuse me, soon to be president of California Independent Schwarzenegger, Governor Schwarzenegger, the governor. So where are we in this? What is this process? For non-Californians who have no idea what the California gubernatorial recall process is, what is the process and where are we in the process right now? And how is it that, and by the way, it was Marcus Ruiz Evans, chair of Yes California, hosting this debate, pushing for an independent California. Also, I guess a follow-up question would have to be, what's your take on California independence and all that? But first, for the non-Californians, what's this process we're talking about?
Well, we, the people of California, retain the right to recall a governor. So, of course, every politician has their term limit. Senators 2 years, mayors, governors 4 years, executive officers. So during that term, if you don't like what they're doing in the California Constitution, you can recall them, get them out of office right now. And that's what we have initiated here in the state. Millions of people have signed a petition, over 1.8 million people so far, when we only need 1.5 million to have that recall petition to be successful. So now that we've gathered enough signatures to make that happen, we're going to be having a special election here in the next few months to where everyone in the state will then be able to vote on if they want to recall Newsom, get his ass out of office. So is it a vote first on whether to keep Newsom, or do you go straight to just picking a new governor if enough signatures are collected? It's a 1-2 punch. So on the ballot, people will be able to vote yes or no. Would you like to recall Newsom? If you do vote yes, you would like to, they ask you, who would you like to replace him with? And then that's where they'll get the opportunity to vote for me. Or if you vote no, they may ask, well, if in the event he does get recalled, who would you vote for? And then again, you could choose me. So the first vote, of course, determines on who the winner of that recall election would be. But the new governor would assume office immediately and would fulfill that term and until it's filled. So that would be until January 2023. So for the next year and a half, let's say, they would get to enjoy Wildstar for governor and see what I could do to turn the state around. Hopefully that'll convince them enough of why I'm fit to serve as governor, and they'll reelect me in the 2022 gubernatorial election.
Now, Nick, I want you to know that you have my support in doing this. You have my support in running to win, absolutely. But realistically, I mean, and I think you do have a chance at winning, because this is one of the, this is I mean, I want to demean this process as a libertarian and say, oh, it's just them giving you the illusion. I mean, we got Schwarzenegger, and then what did Schwarzenegger do? Did the state get all better because we fixed the problems with Gray Davis and we got a celebrity Republican governor for California? No, obviously not. What you represent as a threat to the system, fundamentally, is a threat to the corruption of the system, is so much more significant than anybody else who would be running to replace Newsom from the old parties, that the odds of them letting you even have a chance really in this are pretty low. So I want to say that, this is, hey, if you don't like the flavor of our leader, we'll let you have this dramatic process and choose a new flavor of leader, but the corruption of the system continues. It's not like all of a sudden, all of Newsom's friends will be out of office and corruption won't be a thing in California, even if you were to win. But if you don't win this election, what would you say the benefit of the recall is if we just get another duopoly asshole who's just a better flavor politician than Newsom. Could this just be like Schwarzenegger, where Californians are distracted, going, "Oh, we got the governor! Oh, we got the governor! We had a porn star, and the governor beat the porn star, and then that's all California politics is about for 4 years, while the corruption continues."
I know exactly. Yeah, we definitely got to take advantage of the moment here because a lot of voters do have stars in their eyes. And in the state of California, Hollywood rules everything, money and power. So sadly, with these elections, they're glamorized and made a spectacle of. Tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars end up getting wasted on these elections, getting flushed down the drain instead of actually helping the people that these politicians claim to want to help. So it's sad to see that happen. And I hope that people pay attention to that, start focusing on really what these people represent. And if they are true to form of character of who they say they are. But it would be awful if we were to flush the opportunity and elect somebody that's, like you said, more of the same flavor or different side of the coin for that matter. But it also is the opportunity for we, the people of California, to instill a real leader, someone that's really going to be a representative of our values and our desires and what we want to see for the state so we can actually claim independence and start acting like it. We are the 5th largest economy in the world, but we're also a donor state. We loan more money to the federal government than we borrow from them. So that trend definitely needs to come to an end. I believe I'm the only one dedicated to that cause, to where I will stay dedicated and pledge allegiance to the special interests of the people, not these banking, big banks and big pharma and unions and other organizations that would rather see the state end up benefiting them as they have, the cronyism that has ruled the state. So you can see the Republican Party pretty much grooming a few candidates to do exactly that. You had a billionaire, Chamath Palihapitiya, the guy from Tesla, used to be with Google or whatever. He actually dipped in and dipped out of the race quick. So you may see that happen over the next few months, where you'll have more and more people fall out of the woodworks and say they want to be governor of California. But what work have they put in to make that, to show that they want to be a community leader? I have been exactly that. I've been involved in community activism for over a decade, and you can Google me and find that out. And of course, with me fighting the system, I'm definitely proof of that. Right now, I'm actually battling the courts for videotaping in court. I was found guilty for contempt of court simply for exercising my First Amendment right, freedom of press and citizen journalism. So it's sad to see our government trump and stump all over our rights. But when do we, the people, stand up to hold them accountable? We have to do something. And this is the first step. Second step is getting somebody like me in there, to make sure that we're holding our government officials accountable.
Now, you have a rally coming up this weekend, I believe, or next, about this legal situation you're facing, potentially going 6 months for recording in a courtroom. We're going to come back to that. I want to give you a chance to end on that and make sure that people know what you're working on outside of politics, because you back up everything you're saying with your activism, and this is a great example of civil disobedience to hold courts accountable. But before we get to that, I want to go back to Newsom and the bigger policies, because it's not, you talk about the hypocrisy and the French Laundry, but we've dealt with hypocritical politicians for a long time. Tone-deaf, insensitive elitists are nothing new in American politics, right? So there's something else here that has really got to be motivating the recall effort, right? If everybody's lives were going well in California, and we've got he's a hypocrite, but he makes our lives great, so we'll put up with him. That's not the case. how is it that people in California are suffering? Specifically, I mean, if you give us some of the metrics, you know, your fifth largest economy in the world, if it wasn't part of the United States, you know, what's the unemployment like? What's the business shutdown like? What is the experience like for average Californians under Newsom's COVID policies, and how would that be different with you?
Well, the one thing about the numbers is we really don't know. They've been manipulated, excuse me, and they haven't been fully tallied in a way to where they're reliable. And there's been audits so far to where that's been discovered that the
I
information.
mean, even things like business shutdowns and unemployment, like they're fucking with those numbers too.
Exactly, yes. So the
There's
belief.
got to be some reasonable estimates, though. Like what, even if the government is undercounting unemployment, and yeah, I don't doubt it at all, because California also big gig economy state, but big on the record gig economy, and a lot of those gigs just don't exist anymore. So we don't have to count those people as unemployed because technically they weren't employed to begin with. It's stuff like that.
Yes, well, that's exactly the point with the gig economy and the devastation of his policies. He signed a bill called AB5 here in California, and this was before the lockdown. So it prevents people in the state from claiming the status as an independent contractor. So the good intention behind this, the Democratic legislators say, is because they want to make sure that each employee has medical coverage. So to force employers to provide, medical benefits, health insurance to their employees, they passed this bill. So everyone who worked as an independent contractor, filed a 1099, now in the state won't be able to. If you do, you'll be fined. So truckers, painters, whether it be a house or, independently, HVAC contractors, nannies. My wife is a nanny. Everybody has been devastated by this. In particular, you had rideshare drivers for Uber and Lyft out here pass pressure the state to pass Prop 22, which basically provided a loophole for them, but everybody else is still out of work, So it's sad to see how money pretty much equates to power. And we saw that with the lobbying power of Uber and Lyft to again get that Prop 22 exempt for rideshare drivers. But again, with what's happening in our state, if we want to get people back to work, we definitely need to be changing those types of policies. So once I get elected, I'll definitely be nullifying that AB5 bill, since it was not voted into law by the people of California. It was a bill that was passed by legislators. So this again was passed into law before the lockdown. So millions of people lost their job before the coronavirus pandemic happened. And that's what I'm saying about the numbers is between, the estimations of the people that were out of work before that and now, it's looking as if it's tens of millions of people. And we have about 40 million people here in California. So that would be about 25% of the population here.
God damn. Well, it's a good thing you have a pretty well-established welfare system in California. None of the people are starving on the streets, I hope. But no one's going to be happy with that.
I'm not happy. Yeah, he just passed the stimulus bill here in the state where it's nearly $8 billion of taxpayers' money that's going to be spent on giving everybody $600 checks. And $600 checks in California is laughable, okay? People's rent at a studio apartment is about $1,400 on average, depending on where you live. So $600 is going to go, up in the smoke instantly. But again, taxpayers
the average Californian spends more than $600 every weekend at strip clubs. This is not.
Well, maybe not me, but I know $600 won't last long after food
Well, I don't know. This is like I don't know why I made this. This is two jokes in one interview about strip clubs, and like I'm thinking now, I'm trying to think of more excuses. Like, no, honey, I have not spent a dime of our money at the strip club. No, I just used that $600 of government money.
Right, yeah, you better buy some GameStop stock or something like that. That seems to be
Okay.
to benefit from that chunk of change.
All right, so Nick, I want to ask you a sort of harder policy question then. You're governor, beginning of last year, COVID hits. What do you do?
Well, I would focus more so on the amount of people that have died, unfortunately. To me, casualties would be the best way to determine if drastic measures should be taken, such as imposing a stay-in-place order, which is really just a recommendation. The government can't force you to do anything you don't want to do. So they don't have the right, the legal right, or the authority, according to the Constitution, to force people to stay indoors in their own homes. If you want to go outside and face the risk of dying and catching whatever the case may be, whatever virus, even if it's the flu, which existed before the coronavirus, you face that risk. So we, the people, always have the right to live our lives. And, if we want to put our lives at risk to do exactly that, then so be it. And so you can't do that at the threat of a gun. And that's what I would not do as governor, is be forcing people through armed people such as these people, to go around telling businesses that they're unable to open, or that people can't be in parks and play with their children, or even feed the homeless that seems to be still alive, despite this pandemic being called, something serious. They're not dropping like flies. They're all still alive, but they're definitely not receiving any assistance to get off the street. So if any such of a threat were to come along where it was serious, I would focus on casualties. Again, make the recommendation of a stay-in-place order and focus more so on data from scientists all over the spectrum, not just ones that agree with the status quo narrative, but to hear everyone out and to provide the people of California with more options, not just the vaccine. We shouldn't be having that, shoved down our throats when there's other ways of treatment out there. I just learned about an inhaler that was invented where out in Israel, where, you just use an inhaler and that fights it because it's a respiratory supposed infection. So, you have hydroxychloroquine or whatever Trump is talking about. You got other.
Well, I know you're not a Trump supporter if you don't know how to pronounce hydroxychloroquine.
Nope, I do not give a damn. But to me, the best thing, of course, is changing your diet, being a healthy person. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people with pre-existing health conditions have died from coronavirus. And that's actually been discovered by WHO, that pretty much 98% of the people that have died from coronavirus had one pre-existing condition. So we need to be healthier people. And we, of course, need to get away from obesity. I think that's actually a problem. Because you have foods out there that people divulge in, knowing it's unhealthy for them.
Wait a second, Nick. Are you trying to tell me that Michelle Obama's "Let's Move" didn't fix the obesity problem in America? We had her in office for 8 years with this government program. We didn't fix. All right, no, I want to go back to like the two critical things of your statement. I know people in our audience might be kind of disappointed with, well, shit, he's still got to manage the government of California through all of this and the statism of that. But two things. One is the just honest look at the death counts and separating died from versus died with. And
right.
that's so important in just putting this thing in perspective and sort of letting the rest of the debate fall by the wayside. All of the what about this? What about, you know what? Let the market figure that out, because your second point is really challenges a fundamental premise of government. That's like a thread that they're not willing to let you pull because the sweater falls apart, which is that you have the right as a human being to determine your own level of risk in life.
Exactly.
No one else gets to do that for you. It doesn't matter if it's raining bloody frogs covered in AIDS infected needles.
Right.
You get to decide whether you leave the house or not some bureaucrat. And that is what that means. Like you might think, well, Nick is saying he'd still do the same policy. He would just tweaking that one little thing.
Yes.
And right now, and I want to point this out for our audience all over the world, that legally most of the mandates are not enforceable.
Right.
The actual enforcement of them is technically illegal. And I make this point just with one simple aspect of that, in that they all have medical exemptions. None of these, in the United States, I have yet to see any mandate that didn't have to include, well, yes, if you have a pre-existing medical condition that is aggravated by wearing a mask, you get to decide, language, right? You get to decide whether that is worse than wearing a mask for you, or whether wearing a mask is worse for you, or the threat of COVID is worse for you. Exactly. And that individual decision still remains with most of us, but there is that threat of coercion being applied that is in a lot of this language. And when it comes to businesses being forcibly shut down, the coercion is very, very clear. So what Nick is saying is that he would take that coercive element out of everything with COVID. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's mainly the problem here in the state, and that's why Newsom has been sued, dozens of lawsuits, is because that language has changed. I mean, this is a legal agreement between us and the government by way of the Constitution, the United States Constitution and the California State Constitution. So if he happens to violate that in any way, shape, and form, which he has, and it's actually been proven in court, a California judge actually upheld that Governor Gavin Newsom acted outside of his constitutional powers, and he was sued in court. So there has been one successful lawsuit, and it was mainly over his change of policy regarding mail-in ballots to force everyone in the state to have to use a mail-in ballot. You can't do that. People need to have every way to vote, whether it be online voting, which still hasn't been provided as an option. And what I would do as governor is create blockchain voting, give us a better opportunity, a more up-to-date way to accurately,
online with legit accountability. All right,
exactly.
So Nick, I want to
phone, man.
Yeah, you're California, you can't figure this shit out. One other question here then, strategy-wise for your gubernatorial race. You are walking into a recall situation, very volatile, which means for a libertarian Republican, I mean, you are technically running as a Republican, but very open about your libertarian affiliations and principles.
Yeah.
What's your strategy to break through the noise in this quick? It's not a normal time, a normal election cycle of 2 years. You see it coming, and you get to plan and do things. What are the dates for this? What's the timeline, and what's your strategy to break through the noise?
Well, it's looking as if the special election will happen sometime late summer. I would say August, September. They may even try to push it out as late as they can, October, November. So it'll happen before the end of the year. That's for certain. So my goal is to just do as I always have done, and that's to hit the ground running, pound the pavement. And I believe I have that as an advantage over the rest of the candidates, is because I've actually been involved in petitioning to collect signatures to recall Gavin Newsom as a volunteer. So I've spoken with thousands of people face to face, giving them my card.
They're gonna say that's great for you to be able to look at the other candidates and be like, hey, are you just coming in to collect on our work? Because where the fuck were you when we were actually making this happen?
Right, precisely. And that's what I want to prove to the people of California is we shouldn't let this election be stolen away from us when it's our opportunity, we the people's opportunity to reclaim our power in government. And with a new governor that's going to make sure that our desires, what we really want to have done to turn the state around, in these lockdowns immediately, open schools, open businesses, open parks, in these taxes, people could use a reprieve. I want to eliminate taxes for the next 2 years while I'm in office so they can enjoy the benefits of keeping your own money in your own pocket, So I, again, have gained the advantage over, meeting tons of people, thousands of people in the state of California. And then with me being a 2018 Libertarian candidate for governor, having already gained a reputation and notoriety through that election, has gained me also an advantage as well. So I believe if and when the people of California start paying attention to the candidates that are running against Newsom, I'll stand out like a sore thumb with my decade-long activism rap sheet, as well as what I'm currently going through to actually battle the system. I'm following through on action, on the words that I propose to the people of California. So I've been involved with so many different organizations, Black Lives Matter, Reopen California organizations, Yes California for the Cal exit. So that's gained me favor and attention with them. And really, in order for anybody to topple the Democratic regime, since Newsom is their golden boy, they're going to be, pouring all of the money into him and his campaign. So the only opportunity to unseat him is going to come from another party. People are stuck in this two-party mindset where they must vote red or blue. They're stuck in that duopoly because they feel like if they vote for a third-party candidate, they're throwing their vote away. I've heard it so many times. So I'm choosing to take the Ron Paul route, stand for libertarian values, and promote the libertarian platform itself as a Republican. So it'll give me a larger platform to be heard by more people, and so far it's working. So I want to just continue working that angle as much as possible and prove to the people of California that I'm a different type of politician altogether. I'm not really about the labeling of a Republican or Democrat, but more so about the principles of liberty and freedom and justice for all. And that should matter the most. Policies over parties and people over party. And in order for anybody to, again, unseat Gavin Newsom, they got to be able to play on both sides. You got to attract liberals and conservatives, independents, as well as, people on the two-party spectrum. So I'm the candidate that can do that. I'm the only one that can. And so far, as I said, it's been working for me, and hopefully with more attention, that'll get me elected as the next governor of California.
Beautiful. But you didn't mention the one other ace you got in the hole here with your civil disobedience in your court case, because this is a beautiful, righteous example of civil disobedience that if you were not running for governor right now would be some guy recording in a courtroom getting in trouble. Now it's California gubernatorial candidate faces charges for trying to hold judge accountable.
Exactly. And I was a law-abiding citizen. California law says that we, the people, have the right to record our elected, or not really elected officials, but any state office.
How many times have you been arrested or been to court for as the defendant? You're not supposed to admit that in this interview.
Times count, man. I mean,
but even if you've never been the defendant, I've been the defendant most of the time. I've been in a courtroom in the United States, and it's been at least a few dozen times. That's a lot more than that. But every time, like the lack of recording rights,
exactly,
absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah. Not to mention,
absolutely, we have secret courts in America. Secret courts is the standard in America. There are a few jurisdictions, and there are a few instances where judges will make exceptions and allow for coverage for the public interest or what have you. But by and large, you go to court in the United States, they get to operate in secret. Exactly. And in California, it's no different. Holy shit! Of all the things that are just like, really, America, we put up with this. Right. So give us the story, at least maybe not to the beginning, but to the point of explaining you recording and getting in trouble for it.
Absolutely. Well, in September of 2018, I had 2 court appearances for traffic citations, which I appeared in court for. And each time I did, I was recording everything using my cell phone. The judge in both cases dismissed the traffic citations, but asked me to pay a civil assessment, basically a fee. They still wanted me to pay a fine for the crime of $300. So they were trying to extort me, and I let them know, I'm not going to pay you, pretty much. But I was demanded to put my cell phone away and stop recording, which I didn't do. So I let them.
Hold on a second, just to clarify, were you being allowed to record up to that point?
Yes and no. The judges pretty much were allowing me because I was standing there with my cell phone. I mean, I'm obviously recording, but yeah. The bailiffs in both cases were the ones that initiated, the force towards me to stop me from recording physically. But again, when I let them know, hey, I'm exercising my First Amendment right to freedom of press. This is citizen journalism, and my Sixth Amendment right to a fair and public trial. This is all should be on the record. Traffic citation courts in California are not on the record. There is no court recorder. There is no stenographer.
Wow. Not even that.
Wow. They think it's like on TV, like a little lady is sitting there typing every word. No, they have digital devices recording, and then you afterwards, like Adam said, you ask for the record, and they don't even have one. So and that's what happened. I recorded those 2 cases in September. I got picked up on the traffic, driving while black, and I found out damn near a year later that I had warrants for contempt of court for these court appearances. So it was almost over the statute of limitations, but I put the videos on YouTube and they went viral. So they got butthurt and wanted to make an example out of me. So they filed contempt of court charges almost a year later, and I went to court in December 2019 to speak on these charges. Now, when I did not do the cell phone bit. I was instead wearing spy glasses, okay? So, I recorded the entire thing. They didn't know that I was recording. They assumed I was and started to harass me over that. Put that video on YouTube, so check it out, you guys. But the language in the video, check it out. Because each other video, when I was charged for contempt of court, it was maybe 5 minutes in court. And the prosecutor during my trial wanted to say I was just holding up court, dragging things out, holding up the process, causing a disturbance for 5 fucking minutes. The third video, I was in court for almost 50 minutes and actually longer because that's an edited down version. And listen to what I'm saying to the judge. That's why I was held in contempt of court, because it happened exactly there in that video. I was arrested right there on the spot for talking to the judge in that manner. So basically, I had a trial recently where a jury of my peers, which was not, because it was 12 white people in Orange County, where, the majority or the population of black people is less than 2%. So the majority of people, don't look like me. And I live in Fresno now, 4 hours away. I had to bring my family, out-of-pocket expenses to pay for hotel and food and all of that shit, travel just to get down there and deal with this trial during my 9th wedding anniversary with my wife, of all things. But I had this trial, was found unanimously guilty on all 6 counts of contempt of court, or whatever the case may be. And again, the prosecutor wanted to pound it in about how I was abusing the law. If we are nation laws, then we should be abiding by those laws. And I brought up while I was giving my testimony about how there is California law 148G, PC 148G, which allows, people to record public officials in a public capacity in a public place. That's exactly what I did, and the judge, when my attorney brought this up during her closing statement, she was objected to by the prosecutor, and the judge sustained it. So they completely obstructed justice by telling the jury the law isn't what you think it is, or actually what it is. It's what we tell you it is. So if we tell you don't record in court and you record in court, even though the law says you can, don't do what we tell you to, and that's a violation. So contempt of court, each charge carries a maximum of a year. So if the prosecutor has their way, they could push for 6 years. And, with California time and a half, that would be 3 years. I'm not trying to spend 3 years in jail for exercising my rights. So I'm making this a call to action for anybody that's truly wants criminal justice reform. You really want to reform the criminal justice system? This is your perfect opportunity, because it doesn't involve anybody dying. It simply involves somebody standing up for their rights against the people that are supposed to uphold those rights and respect those rights and took an oath, to protect those rights. We, the people, don't swear on the Bible to uphold the United States Constitution.
Just to address this, philosophically, there are people who might object to say, well, you're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Even if that's the case,
what that means.
Well, that this whole legal system isn't going to last that much longer. But the thing is, it's going to last long enough to ruin a lot of fucking lives.
Exactly.
And one of the ways that it does that is, we can talk about the system itself being racist, but it comes down to individuals making racist decisions. And with scrutiny, people are less likely to do shitty things like that, or even any kind of discriminatory or victimless crime enforcement. If you made every courtroom in America live streamed online, I guarantee you there would be a lot less bullshit. There would be a lot less pain.
That's the slap in the face about all of this is now, because of this lockdown shit, you can go online. They locked my damn trial, man. I mean,
well, not the trials. The trials are they're still very much you're right. It's ironic to point out that so much they have proven that there's no technical reason for them not to have absolute transparency and full live stream of everything. But even now with COVID, it's still not it's not real transparency. It's bullshit. But Nick, to what you're doing here, I don't think government got less vicious with COVID transparency, right? In courts. But by the way, I saw you in that video. Man, I miss you with dreads. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not black. But my hair is Jew fro-y enough. If I wanted to dreadlock it, I could, and I'm growing it out. So watch out. I might be displacing you as the Libertarian Party's favorite token dreadlocked candidate. But that being said, obviously the timing of this couldn't be better for you. Really, that you did this not knowing that there was going to be a recall election at this point, and yet it's come to a great synchronicity where you get to run for governor in a recall election that's very tumultuous, inherently chaotic, and you have an ace in the hole to stand out and get people's attention as the courtroom transparency candidate. You know, and I know it's not the be all end all of your platform,
Government transparency.
Right. Well, I hope that that you're able to leverage this to I think at least be able to break out as a top tier candidate in this race. And I would encourage everybody to help you get to this point, because while California is suddenly getting honest and getting fucking real and electing someone like Nick Wildstar might be unlikely, I think with your support, Mr. Wildstar can have an outsized impact on this race. And perhaps if he doesn't win this round, set himself up to be successful in future races. And I hope that if that happens, from what I know of Nick personally, he shares I'm trying to be nice and mean at the same time. My stubborn commitment to principle and the message and this movement, and has run for office multiple times. And since he, really took that turn into full-time activism and being a serious candidate, that he has made the commitment in his life. And I would tell people when I was running, please, even if whatever you think of this race, invest in me, because it's an investment in this message. And I would say that the same is absolutely true for Nick, that supporting him in this race and investing in his candidacy is an investment in the message and the long-term success for freedom, and specifically for California, man. I'm excited to see you toss these duopoly motherfuckers around in debates and tell them what's up, because you really are a standout in this race. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today. Aside from GovernorWildstar.com, going there, donating, getting on your email list, etc., is there anything else people need to know to support you for this race?
Yes, please visit my website, wildstar2022.com. That's my official campaign website. So if you visit wildstar2022.com, you'll be able to find out more about my campaign platform proposals for California, as well as get involved. I'm looking for staffers. So if you want to help with social media, or, press releases, or helping me get donations as a fundraiser, then please, fill out a pledge card so you can get involved. Or if you'd like to make a contribution, just hit that donate button, because like Adam said, this is powered by you. If you want to get the message out there, then I need for people like you to get involved. I'm a true grassroots candidate. I'm not being funded by corporations or any special interest groups or any unions or anything like that. So please get involved in my campaign. And I am fighting the system. Right now, I have a sentencing hearing coming up Friday, March 12th. So I'm putting together a rally to protest my sentencing, and I'm asking everyone to protest with me. Even if you aren't in California, visit my website, governorwildstar.com/freewildstar, or just look up the hashtag #FreeWildstar and get involved in the effort to reduce the charges against me and help me bring some true justice for someone that is facing jail time for a victimless, nonviolent crime. And it's not a crime when there is no victim. And again, I was abiding by the law. So help me stand up against this system. Help me stand up for freedom and liberty. And we definitely can make a stand together. So hashtag #FreeWildstar, governorwildstar.com/freewildstar. You can find out more about the protest March 12th, or you can find out about the writing campaign, where I'm asking everyone to write letters to the judge and the district attorney to, ask them to reduce the charges and express some leniency. So that's actually been spearheaded by Angela McArdle of the Libertarian Party of Los Angeles. So thank you very much, Angela McArdle, for doing that.
Be on this show soon.
Yes, and I also have a GoFundMe. So I'm going to battle this out. I'm going to file an appeal. If, they do try to sentence me, even if they don't, I plan on filing an appeal. And even if I got to battle that up to the Supreme Court of California or higher, I will. So that's definitely going to take, an amount of money to afford proper legal representation. So please visit my GoFundMe, gofundme.com/freewildstar. You can make a donation, please. Every little bit helps. And of course, just get involved. Right now, it's people power, and our hands are being tied by the people that, are the orchestrators of our society, that own our media, that own our politicians, that are, so there it is, Free Wildstar. That's my son, Chancellor. My wife, Crystal, back there. She's actually the one who put this together. So I'm just trying to keep my family together, man. My son, he just turned 18 months. So he's a little over a year, and I want to continue being there every day as a father, being in his life, and of course, being there for my wife. So if you want to keep this family together, give me an opportunity to continue to be an example, a model citizen by putting my life on the line for running for governor of California, then please get involved in that effort.
Well, Nick, I got to say about your immediate fight with your sentencing, I kind of hope you lose really hard, because it would be so much fun to see you run for governor from jail. And you know we'd have a field day with that one, man. Holy shit. He's running for governor. Let's jail him for some bullshit. That's some kind of, like, I don't know if you can swing it the wrong way for yourself. I know you don't want to do anything dishonest or manipulative like that, but shit, man, that would be global attention getting. California Republican governor goes to jail for recording in court, still running. Everybody's going to want to support that. Although I think they should want to support you just for putting yourself in the position of that being a possibility. Nick, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. The honor was all mine, Adam.
All right. We're a bit over time.